we're back with a brand new episode of the Gleeson New Homes Podcast. We've created this podcast last year to help our customers on their journey to buying a new build home and have covered an array of topics. If you want to listen back, head over to our Spotify channel or Apple Music page, or even check out our YouTube and find us by searching the Gleeson Homes Podcast. In the last 9 months, a lot has changed in the house building industry, and today we have Steve McElroy, our Group Sales Director, and Amanda Parkinson, our Group Marketing Director, joining us to share how Gleeson is evolving in this ever-changing market. Welcome to the podcast, guys. Please introduce yourselves with a brief overview of your roles here at Gleeson.
Hi, I'm Steve McElroy. I'm Group Sales Director. I'm recently in the post. I've been in the industry approximately 25 years, worked for various house builders, seen most marketplaces, and it's a good time to be in the market, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm Amanda Parkinson, Group Marketing Director. I've been at Gleeson 4 years, and I've been in the construction industry probably, I'm not as old as Steve, so probably around, I think about 14, 15 years, as you can see. So so I've got a bit more or less time. I've done less time, but I've seen challenging markets. Yeah,
absolutely,
definitely. Well, I think at the moment, over the last 9 months, we've definitely seen a challenging market arise, with mortgage rates being a hot topic at the start of the year. Fixed rates are going higher. As a company, we've seen a slight decline in first-time buyers and more of a shift towards second steppers, right-sizers, downsizers. How has this impacted Gleeson, and what have we done to adapt to this change?
Yeah, I think you're right, that the market has changed, and with the loss of Help to Buy, we had a high proportion of first-time buyers, and we're still running around 50% of first-time buyers, but things have changed for these guys. So we're seeing more people come forward now who are perhaps coming out of rented, because the rental market is getting very, very hot.
Yeah.
Rents are going up, landlords are having to put their prices up because they're facing increased costs themselves. We're seeing people who have sold their own home and perhaps maybe looking wider afield than they would have done. They've perhaps got more time to look, and they're finding Gleeson, and they're finding that perhaps we've got a very good value for money proposition.
Yeah.
So they're coming to us. And then you've got quite a few cash buyers as well. And perhaps parents helping first-time buyers, and even grandparents are coming in. So there's more cash. And I think the benefit of buying for cash is obviously that you lose your monthly outgoing.
Yeah.
So at that stage, the interest rates become less of an issue for you. And it's more controllable. So we've certainly got a much more diverse market than we had 6, 7, 9 months ago, something like that.
And you kind of mentioned since Help to Buy ended, we've seen a change. What other schemes does Gleeson have in place to help maybe the change in audience?
Yeah, well, we've reacted to market. We've listened to our buyers, and we've looked at what's happening in the marketplace. And the main incentives that we're trying to help people with are deposit paid, so up to 5%, or deposit match. We're also looking at part exchange as well, which is something that we haven't done previously at Gleeson. And that enables somebody who doesn't want to go onto the market to sell for cash in a part exchange situation, and have the benefit of staying in their own home until ours is ready. It's a good way for people as the second-hand market has slowed a little bit as well. So it adds in a little bit more certainty that wasn't there. And then finally, what we found is that we've got a lot of people who want to buy still, probably our first-time buyers, but they can't because they don't have that enabler. So one of the main things now that's going to enable people to buy, especially the first-time buyers, is shared ownership.
Yes.
So we as a company have applied for shared ownership on 33 of our developments. And that will allow people to part buy, part rent, and have lower deposits, lower monthly contributions, lower earnings. So it brings people into the marketplace that couldn't get in, that still want to buy. And I think overall that's what we're finding. People do want to buy, but they need some help.
We always knew that when Help to Buy, the government removed the Help to Buy scheme, which was at that time at the back end of 22, solely for first-time buyers. So originally it was for all people, wasn't it? It was anyone. There was a government scheme to get people into sort of home ownership. Then they went to the Help to Buy 2, which was for first-time buyers only. And when that was coming to an end, we knew that was, we knew that would have an impact.
Yeah.
What we didn't know at that time. So we planned for that. We'd looked at. We would have to look at, a different market. We would have to look at retargeting, repositioning. But what we didn't know was that the mortgage rates were going to, that sort of mini budget, which did have a catastrophic, the war in Ukraine. Yeah. We're still talking about it now. It's changed. It has changed materially what's going on, in the world and, the economics of everything. So, we did know that. But then this budget thing and mortgage rates, that's what really has sort of spooked people, hasn't it? I mean, cost of living crisis. We were talking earlier about, can I mention brands? Can you mention brands? Anyway, a certain brand of crisp that's round and you can put on all your fingers used to be £1 for a bag of 6, and then now it's £2.25. 125% increase or whatever. It's just mental, isn't it?
I think I went to the shops. Right, I went to the shops the other day to do a food shop, and I didn't buy no meat, no anything. It was just literally the essentials. My fridge is still empty, and I think I spent about £50. I called my mum afterwards, what have I just...
It's frightening. Yeah. It's frightening, and all those sorts of things impact people's ability. And I think interest rates were so low, weren't they? They were so low. Yeah. And I mean, I remember, so I might not be as old as Steve, but I do remember when interest rates were... 15%. When I bought my first house, I didn't burn it, I bought it. When I bought my first house in 1990 something, the year before the crash. So I was one of these people in negative equity, and I can't remember what I bought it. I don't know what it was, but it went up to 15%. Yeah. And, I was on my own, in my early 20s, and it was just, it was horrific, but you do manage. And then, so I'm used to high mortgage rates in some ways. Yeah. Obviously they've been good, but I think, it's, people have had it so good for so long. There's been lots of disposable income, whereas now they're saying, aren't they, that I'm not quite sure of the exact figure, but it's around 40-50% of your income is taken on your living it, on putting a roof over your head, whereas before it might have been 20%. Yeah, that's significant. But I think so I think we're also going through a bit of an adjustment, and at some point, mortgage rates, I'm not an economist, but I can't see them ever falling to 1%. Then they're we speak to a lot of people, don't we? There might be a bit of balance and a bit of fall, but I think essentially, this is it now. And as Steve said, that, the new norm. And I think, owning, if you can do it, is still a good alternative to renting, because renting, quite often you can be in substandard, properties, not always, some amazing stuff. But, my son pays rent in Manchester. He doesn't want to get tied down to a mortgage yet, but his rent would be more than a mortgage. Yeah,
absolutely.
100% it would be more than a mortgage. So, but he's got to find that deposit, which this is why talking about the 5%. If you can get help
with the deposit, then the monthly costs then will be lower, especially with a new build home.
Yes. And it's the whole monthly cost, isn't it? It's not just the mortgage. Yeah. And again, that's what drives people to new homes. I think the energy efficiency,
absolutely,
and the saving, and we've seen people who are wanting to move from older homes, sell them, try and get the minimum mortgage possible, and have a lower running cost as well. Yeah. Why would you want to be paying £300, £400, £500, £600 a month in gas and electricity when you could pay £200 or £300? Yeah. And I think everybody's looking at all their outgoings and trying to shave a little bit off here and there. So I think that's why there is still the demand for new homes. It's just like I say, we've got to try and help people get through this period and try and answer their issues and help them. Things like mortgage subsidies that we've done before as well. So if somebody chooses a 2-year fixed rate, we might be able to help them for that first 2 years and give them a subsidy. So it brings that price down again. So we're sensitive to the needs of the market. And if people talk to us, we can tell them how we can can help them. If they still want to move, there is probably a way they can still move.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. So with all of these changes in mind, as a company, we've had a bit of a refresh to the brand. What does this mean? What, from a customer's point of view, what does this mean? What kind of changes are they expected to see, maybe on site, on the website?
Yeah, good question. So 4 years ago, we did a bit of a brand refresh. So Gleeson historically hadn't invested a lot of money in sort of its look and feel or its brand. It was, it was growing very quickly, but it didn't. Its image was not particularly good. So we looked at our marketplace, which was predominantly, really predominantly young families and first time buyers. Yeah. So we modernised, the Gleeson brand, and we brought in lots of bright colours and imagery and iconography, etc. Our tone of voice was, we were very, the home of first time buyers. We'll hold your hand and we'll get you through this. And it was just such a really good approach. But I think now what we're saying is, we can still do that. And of course, we will still, embrace first-time buyers. We are not at all saying we're not the place for first-time buyers. But what we're saying is actually with our range of products and, looking at sort of 5-bedroomed homes as well. We've got bungalows now. We've got this range. We're saying we need to talk to and appeal to a broader audience. Yeah. So, we're going to see some change in our style, our colour palette, the way we speak, in our collateral. Yeah. And, just, I don't want to say growing up, but it feels a little bit like it's maturing, perhaps. Yeah. That, Gleeson is maturing a bit. And what we don't want to do is people like myself, who is in a very large property with an oil boiler, that actually thinks, I just would like a new home. Yeah. That wouldn't look at Gleeson and think, oh no, this isn't for me. This is just for young people. I'm on the wrong place. So, we'd be looking at, photography, as I said, different colour palettes. And I think you work in, we work together in the same team. You're going to be looking at reaching out for some ambassadors, some new ambassadors. Yeah. So I think previously we had ambassadors and they were all first-time buyers. Yeah. So now we will look at people that can bring their stories, and share and, bring to life that we're not just first-time buyers or
and I think ambassadors are great. I mean, the group that we had previously, a lot of them featured on the podcast, absolutely amazing. Lovely bunch of people, and they're kind of it's what people want to see because it's the real life experience. They've gone through the process, and it's just going with what's happening. But it's just adapting with the brand. So with the new audience, we need to adapt on social, even little things like the podcast. We've gone from it originally being the first time buyer podcast to just keeping it more generic, more open. And it's working. I think, it's most definitely working. Yeah. And it's good because it shows diversity, doesn't it? It shows, and I think we've always been, like I said, we've not only sold to first-time buyers, and in certain regions, so places like Cumbria or the far northeast, we've probably had a fewer percentage or a different mix of people depending on the sort of the area. Yeah. So it's really good. It's really exciting. Definitely. And, you'll see as well on our developments, it's not all going to happen immediately, but, over time, our developments will adopt some new signage and, and I think, it's not, I suppose it's it's not the clothes we wear, but literally how we look as a business. When people arrive at site and they walk into our sales centre, that it just feels, it feels okay and it feels comfortable. Yeah. But at the same time, and we'll help everyone. But at the same time, we will, of course, look after first-time buyers, because I do think when you've not bought a house before, it can be quite daunting, can't it? And it's, you need that person in the sales centre, that business that recognise that.
But I think what Mandy's doing with the marketing is really appropriate, because it's part of how we've evolved. So the product's evolved, Our marketplace has evolved, the type of buyer has evolved, and more people are discovering Gleeson. And it's funny because people will say to me, well, what does a Gleeson home look like? And if you don't know, I would really encourage you to go to one of the show homes. Yeah. And I think a lot of people would be surprised. So you go into one of our show homes, you'll see the specification, you'll see Symphony kitchens in there. And Symphony kitchens are probably used by the top 10 house builders in the UK. You can have fully fitted integrated appliances in there. Yeah. We use Porcelanosa tiles.
Everyone knows Porcelanosa tiles,
which are a luxury brand. Yeah. And we're even introducing Antico flooring again, another luxury brand. Yeah. But we still manage to keep the price point in general lower than most of our competitors. Yeah. So you're still getting the specification. And I think that's why people are seeing the opportunity that I can sell my larger house with the high costs. Yeah. I can come almost mortgage free. I'm still going to get a fantastic specification. And it's just working for people. Yeah. So like I say, I would encourage people that we've introduced a range of new elevations and house types. Yeah. There's some stone elevations. We're always developing the product range in line with market requirements. So it really is then just what Mandy and her team are doing to try and represent that and take us to that next stage of growth. Yeah. We've got all these changes, but maybe the marketing doesn't represent that how we would want. Yeah. And that's what we're doing now, bringing everything together, I think.
I think you've just touched on it as well. We've recently just announced to the news that we've updated our product range and specifications, and they just look absolutely stunning. There's exciting. A few new sites in Cumbria that we've got, Salton Bay Heights and Barley Meadows, and they've used the new render house style, and they're just beautiful, amazing.
They're beautiful, and it's a really good product. Yeah, I think like Steve said. I mean, we went through it. We've done we did a pitch, didn't we, for all our show home designers. Yeah. Mm. So I don't know if people know, but all the show homes, we don't do them ourselves. You subcontract that out, and because you want to keep it fresh, whatever. But we've now got a new framework of new designers who are just amazing, aren't they? And you walk in, and you would do as well. But you walk in, you think, this is just amazing. It's stunning. It's beautiful. Yeah. I can make my house like this, and it's just bringing that excitement. I mean, we're really excited about it. I don't know if you can tell, but like you say, we've got the beautiful render, the contemporary elevations, with full height windows in the front. I mean, just beautiful. Yeah, really, all the anthracite. Window frames, doors. I mean, just is there? You wouldn't look at a Gleeson home, I don't think. It's a bit like some cars, if you take the badge off, you kind of it's very it's equal, isn't it? Quality build. Obviously, we've got we're part of, or we've enlisted. I'm not sure what the word is, but with the NH New Homes Quality Board, the NHQB. Yeah. So we have a code, and we adhere to that code. It's really customers can be assured about lots of things, and it's just a really exciting time, because I think the product has grown so much. I think as a business we've grown so much, evolved. I think evolved is a really good word, definitely. And I think there's just so much exciting stuff at the moment. I think it's tough to go and buy a house, but it's a good time to go and buy a house. And there's so many deals as well, aren't there? Yeah. Like you said, 5% deposits.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you went to one of our developments, Peter Smith's Park, which is in the Midlands, and you look at the show arena there, and you look at the landscaping and the olive windows and the new elevations, I think that you would want to live in that environment. Oh, yeah, 100%. It's a fantastic environment. Views. And that is Gleeson today, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I think even down to the finer details, where any home that's now been built from June 2023 includes the electric car charge. I can't remember what the word is. EV charging point. And an air source heat pump. So again, that just furthers the energy bills to keep down. It does, yeah. And I mean, this is one of the things that I will continue to preach. A Gleeson home not only it sounds like a sales pitch, but it genuinely isn't. As well as the energy bills being low, they are warm. Like you walk into a Gleeson home and it is so warm regardless of winter, summer, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's cozy. Like it's, and again, the air source heat pump just furthers that even more.
Yeah. I think, all new homes are built now, with much better. I live in a 300-year-old house and it's, it is freezing.
Yeah.
Even in the summer, it's freezing. But, I think all new homes are generally better from an efficiency point of view. And I think the Water Save survey, was it 49% cheaper? Nearly half price bills. Half price bills. That's just, that all helps, doesn't it? So there's some, good arguments there.
Absolutely. Amazing. So just to round off the podcast, I think a final maybe question statement. If a buyer was to walk into a Gleeson Homes sales centre today, what can they expect? What would their experience be like?
Okay, we are running a campaign at the moment, and it's around moving for Christmas, which sounds very, very...
no, it was
100 days, was it?
Last Saturday was 100 days before Christmas.
So it's 97 already.
So as well as everything we've mentioned, the specification, the energy efficiency, I think, which we'll take for granted now with the new home, there are some fantastic offers as well.
Yeah.
And I think that usually during September and October, the market tends to pick up naturally. And that picks up with people who are looking to be in for Christmas.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to do it, you need to be doing it sort of now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you are serious and you are looking for a new home before Christmas, then just visit the website, visit the developments, and we will have identified the houses that we're going to be ready by Christmas.
Yeah.
And then we'll just work with you.
Yeah.
There'll be a range of offers, like I've said, so 5% shared ownership, part exchange on the majority. But if you come and talk to us, then we can work with you and try and find something that maybe gets you into a home you didn't think you could get into. And I would encourage people to visit and see what Gleeson's about today, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'd buy a home from you.
Would you?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Sold.
Amazing. So that rounds our episode off with Steve and Mandy. Thank you so much for joining us on the Gleeson New Homes podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and YouTube so you don't miss an episode. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at gleeson.homes and on TikTok to see our behind the scenes snippets. Thanks for tuning in.